Hello and welcome to the Devil's Bit podcast. You're here with me and Ray for today's episode, and we're going to be looking at the Euros. We're going to be looking at transfers. We're going to be looking at our feelings and emotions coming off the back of that hectic season. But Ray, first off, how's it going, man? How's things?
All right, Rory. Big man, Rory. At the back
Big man.
post.
Well, I wasn't at the back post for long, but
You well, bro?
all good, man. All good. You moved
Good
into a
stuff.
new gaff, did you?
Yeah, it's going good, man. Just still, just settling into it nicely now.
Yeah.
Getting to know the
Good.
neighbours and that.
As you do, as you do. Hopefully, there's no Liverpool fans around this time.
No, not yet. Be more though.
We more that, yeah. But here, right, all good. Season's over, so let's kick straight into it. No flip flopping around, as we always say. Um, so the dust has settled, right? We didn't win that Europa League Cup, as we all know, and we came second in the league. How are you feeling about all of that coming off the back
You
of that
know,
season?
so the dust has kind of settled now a little bit, hasn't it, Rory? Like it's been a week now, and we got a chance to sort of digest and see what's going on and where the club is sort of trying to head into the direction we're trying to head in. Obviously just still disappointed, for some of them players, especially Bruno as well. He looked in bits. We didn't deserve it, I'm still of that opinion that we didn't deserve to win that game.
Yeah,
And we didn't show enough, we got let down in all areas of the pitch, and even off the pitch. I think it all accumulated in that game, and we just weren't good enough. So, but looking at the season second, who would have thought that? You have to be optimistic about that. You have to take some good out of it because you know that wasn't easy. Getting second, I know it's been a crazy season, but getting second, you still have to look at that. I think you have to take that into consideration and consider it a decent season.
yeah.
But good,
Especially,
like you were
especially
saying.
coming from where we were earlier in the season, I suppose. Like second wasn't something that me and you were chatting about say before Christmas at all.
Definitely. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely didn't see that one coming. I mean, like at the start of that season, you were thinking we'll do well to get into the Champions League positions.
yeah,
But then we went on that amazing run and, you know, we clicked, didn't we? Some good things happened if you look back. We won some good games. We came back a lot. The record away from home,
yeah,
beaten is
yeah,
massive. But I think we just got to see where, coming into the latter stage of the season, the last few games, where we we were sort of struck with that Liverpool match in between, already a busy
yeah,
week, and we got to see that the strength in depth isn't there.
yeah,
The, that sort of insurance that will get you Champions League football every year, because that's where I think that's what we need to be looking.
yeah.
Go like talking about winning leagues and all, Rory. I think we're miles away from that as well still.
Mm.
But few players in the right positions, you
Yeah,
never know.
I'd say that's probably not great though, Ray, that we're saying that at this point we're coming second in the Premier League and we're saying basically we don't see a chance of us winning the league. And the way I saw it kind of climaxing at the end was the players were fatigued. I think a lot of them were overplayed. We look at Rashford, Harry Maguire. Although Maguire's injury wasn't really related to any sort of fatigue, um, I would say that, playing that amount of time, all the time, like every game, I think he played every 90 minutes
Mm.
of the league. And, then we consolidated second place before the end of the league. That pressure was lifted and we took our foot off the accelerator. And the problem there was then that the last game of the season was the biggest one for us at that point. But I think the players had enough. You know what I mean? You had COVID, so you're mentally fatigued. and then you pull on the Super League on top of that, and your head's already scrambled. Now it's more scrambled. And now these are professional players that can handle pressure, but there was a lot going on, and we
Yeah,
were asking a lot of them on the pitch. And I think Solskjaer was asking a lot of them because he was going out to win every game, like he said in his interview. There was no thinking of a few games ahead. And maybe towards the end there was, but coming up to getting that second place was all go out and give 120%, or run until you can't run
yeah,
anymore. And that on top of everything else, I think it did it brought in a huge amount of fatigue. And then the Europa League final being on the last day of the season, I think they just couldn't muster up that extra energy to go that little bit further to win that. And like you said, Ray, you could see it. We just didn't show up. We couldn't break an average team down, which kind of tells you that we were average
yeah.
on that night. Anyway, that's how I felt about it. Now, I think we said we did say before that final that if we didn't win, there'd be trouble for a Solskjaer for Ollie, you know.
Yeah.
And that seems to be what's happening, bro. Now maybe you've read a bit more into it than I have, but what are people saying about his position? Is he kind of getting a bit of backlash for losing that game?
Well, yeah, and possibly rightly so, Rory, because his game management in that game was like amateurish, to say the least. He didn't make any substitutions all season.
Mm,
Late substitutions when fans were calling for substitution, when you can clearly see it, and it was wasn't happening. Van der Beek getting 4 in 3 minutes. Players like that coming on for a few minutes. It's just when you got away with it so many times, but just not in that particular game.
mm,
And like I was saying, it was everything that was going wrong in that season just was on display in that game.
yeah.
So fans would be rightly so pointing fingers at Ollie for not
Mm,
making substitutions when the players needed a lift. When
yeah.
we got the equaliser, I thought was a perfect time to maybe make a substitution.
Yeah. And do you think then Ollie out is trended a bit harder now?
Yeah, well, you always, we have a fan
Mm,
base, probably the best fan base in the world, but also there's a lot of people that'll just go for your throat, no matter what the
mm,
manager is, and these managers now, top managers, are available going into the next season. Conte, Zinedine Zidane,
mm,
linked with us before, probably just flirted with that one. But they're available now. They're on the radar. So it is a big season for Ollie. It is a
mm,
big season for Ollie. And I'm interested this season to see if the board back him 100% the way he needs to be backed. I mean, like, you could have a case of arguing if you're on Ollie's side, and I like to, weigh them all up, weigh
mm.
50-50 and think about it. And some of the players that came in last season, Rory, weren't Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choices. As you know,
Yeah, yeah,
Telles, Van der Beek,
yeah.
Cavani. Cavani proved to be an unbelievable signing.
Yeah, and we
And
talked about
Telles,
that. Yeah.
and then Telles also was a great signing because it just pushed Shaw on, and he was able to
Mm.
become one of the best left backs in the league, and if not in the world. So
Put that pressure on Shaw, yeah, and I suppose the pressure was on Cavani then to perform as well,
yeah.
and he did that. But I think, like I said it before, I don't think Van der Beek got that opportunity to show that he has that quality to perform. I think that's a letdown to show the depth in the squad. Like you don't know if you have depth in your squad if you don't let them play. You know what I mean?
Well, you have to be looking as well what's actually going on the training pitch as well.
Yeah.
We often say, who are these coaches? And I'm one of the fans that criticise the coaching staff all the time. Like, we don't really know what they're capable of, or you hear of Ollie not coaching them and stuff like that, and Mick Phelan not really coaching them. So who's actually coaching the players? But what I'm trying to say is that, like, I've heard something about Van der Vaart, which was, Van der Vaart, the next player, ex-Dutch
Mm.
player, played in attacking position and was with Tottenham and stuff. And, he was saying that maybe it was a big step for Van der Beek going to someone like United. Now, I hope that's not the case, but indication showed me that could be a valid point. That it was a big, huge step for him, and instead of grabbing it, he hasn't been able to this season because he did get minutes. He did get his chances, and when he did get his chance, towards the end, he got full games, half an hour. He didn't show enough to make it his, in my opinion. But there's other people there that say he did do enough. But we'll see. This
Personally, I think he came with a lot of good energy at the start. He scored the first game, whatever. But then, when you put someone on the bench and then you give him chances towards the end of the season, like you're asking a lot. And I suppose you're a professional player, so maybe that's not asking a lot. You should be able to come on and do that. But I think Ray did have some good moments, and he, maybe not on the ball, but he's very good at pulling players out of position that gives opportunity for other players to get into a clinical position, and some great passing techniques. Well, I think it is hard for him seeing Pogba and Fernandez out there. He's going to compete with them for the spot nearly,
Yeah.
Where coming in Fred are kind of in that position. Like Ollie's probably saying in the dressing room, yeah, lads, you're not coming on for them. You're coming on for anyone.
I think he did. He obviously lost a bit of hope, like you said, he started off well and then he's looking, throughout the season.
Yeah.
I think he just froze a little bit. I think he just, I don't want to say bottled it, but like if you want it, you have to show that you can get it, I think. And to be a United player, you need to have that mentality, I think,
Yeah.
I don't think you can call up in a ball and say, I'm just happy to be here and I'll go for the next season or the year after,
Yeah. No, I get you, yeah.
I know he's quality. He has to be quality, He's come up through the Ajax ranks and he's Netherlands international, Dutch international.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Bags of quality and he will come good, but
whether it's with United or not, we don't know. I mean, if you look at Lingard, who was with United, wasn't getting his game time, wasn't happy, left. You know what I mean? Unbelievable season he had.
He looked happy enough. He did look happy enough. I just thought he looked happy enough towards the end of the season. I just thought during the season, he kind of lost some of that confidence, like you're talking about, and didn't believe that he could take the position from the likes of Bruno or even, who knows, man. Maybe mentally he was feeling like, I'm never gonna cut it here. I just have to keep going, blah blah blah. He didn't show enough confidence when he was on the ball for me. But hopefully these players come good to be able to push the likes of these midfielders that we have at the club already, keep them on their toes. Just
exactly.
And hopefully bringing in a couple of more players like that in positions where we were weak would be good move for the club, I think, definitely.
Yeah. And we were saying there, Solskjaer, maybe made some bad decisions in that last game of the season, but he's actually been nominated for Manager of the Year. So he's up against some big names there like Guardiola, Rodgers, and Moyes. So personally, I would like him to get it. Like maybe, coming up against Guardiola,
it's tough.
It's tough, isn't it? You know what I mean? You win the league, Champions League final, FA Cup.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, it is tough.
I think there's only one winner there, and it probably Brendan Rodgers will push Pep Guardiola there. I mean, he's won the league with City and he's brought them to the Champions League final, although I think he blew it in the Champions League final. I remember talking to Glenn about this in a phone call, and we were talking about sometimes he gets it wrong when he tries too hard, Guardiola he didn't play Fernandinho, no Ruaidhri, no centre forward. That's just trying to do something at the wrong time, I thought,
Yeah.
But maybe there was a tactical,
I'd say there was. There definitely was.
Point of view to make that.
I'd say he had a plan, whereas it looked like we had plan A, which was what we did for the whole season, and it didn't work out. There was no plan B.
No,
You know what I
that's it.
mean?
And I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer tried to indicate that to
Mm.
everyone. I think
Yeah, yeah.
that's what it felt like he was trying to show everyone that there is no depth in this squad. I don't trust them. What I have with,
Mm.
this starting 11 is decent, but not world class yet.
Well, here's a point for you, Ray. Yeah.
Hmm.
So you look at, say, Chelsea, Lampard. People say he had a good team, wasn't doing too well. Managers changed halfway through the season. They win the Champions League. So that says a lot about what you have and who's managing what you have. So
Yeah.
do you think the Glazers or whoever United is looking at that and saying, or maybe it's putting pressure on Ollie, saying like you're as young as Lampard was with that kind of lack of his experience with a big club.
Yeah.
Maybe the issue is you, like, because you have these big players.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I look back on Lampard, I think I always said this: the fact that he didn't play Rudiger,
Mm,
a player that constantly plays under Tuchel now. The
yeah,
fact that he didn't play Jorginho, Kante was in and out of the squad. I think it just became stubborn. It became like
aye,
I have a plan here, and I'm trying to get these young players through, no matter what. This is what,
yeah,
and that's fair enough. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. But unfortunately, it didn't work out for him because these
yeah,
players in that camp already were too influential on the squad. The likes of Rudiger, Jorginho, Alonso. Sometimes we'd be seeing Alonso play at the start when Tuchel came in.
mm,
These are good players, and for Lampard to just leave them out all the time was, yeah, it was. I think that's the reason he lost the dressing room at some point, and it was defeat after defeat in the end, and he had to go really. But hopefully
mm,
that doesn't happen with Ollie. I think
yeah,
he's still, he's done great bits for the club, as we were saying in previous podcasts. That he lifted the dressing room. It sparked,
mm,
the enthusiasm, the United way through the whole club again, through the fan
mm,
base,
yeah,
because
big time.
the spark was starting to die out, and you could feel it.
Yeah,
Under Van Gaal, it was different.
yeah,
Under Mourinho, even though he won his trophies and got second in the league, and far away from City as well at the time, but still was second. And he said that was one of his best seasons. In
mm,
his whole career, was the fact that he got second with United. And I think what he was trying to say is that what he had to work with was very bad.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, mentioning that, like you did have good players, and Bruno Fernandes was one of them, and he's actually nominated for Player of the Year amongst Kane and a load of City
yeah,
players. Salah. Um, so I suppose we did the light did shine on United, and there was good stuff that came out of it, and I think that proves that Fernandes been nominated. Will he get it? What do you think, Ray? There's always a chance, you know what I mean? But I think Foden's in that list, very good player. Kane,
yeah.
serious amount of goals and assists this year.
I don't know. Bruno's had a decent season. He fell off a little bit. You
Mm,
know, he got a lot of penalties, which is the truth at the start when he came in. But he
yeah,
did. He did look like the missing puzzle, and proved to be the missing puzzle right from the start of what we
yeah.
really needed at the
Missing
time.
piece to the puzzle, is it, Ray?
Is that what I meant? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he, it worked. It clicked the minute he
Mm,
came in. It just clicked. We got going. He lifted the spirit. He was a good character. He's a
yeah.
winner, and he improved the team by 50% easily. You can even say more. Everyone was buzzing. You got Pogba even coming to life again when he came in
Mm,
because of Bruno. I think because a good player around him, motivating you to play. Yeah, so he's in for a good shout, but you'd have to give it to one of the City players. And I think,
yeah, yeah.
Ruben Diaz is a good show. He was in that list as well. I think that's a good show.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you reckon could be Guardiola, Manager of the Year,
Yeah.
Diaz, Player of the Year? Yeah, that says it all,
Yeah, I
doesn't it,
think they played well.
really?
You have to give it to them. Like I don't like watching City. I don't go mad about them. I'm a
Mm,
football fan, and when Liverpool were at the top, I used to enjoy watching Liverpool the odd time in big games and seeing how they deal with it and stuff, even though
Yeah.
there's a big massive rivalry there. But with City, I don't know, I just think they do the little things very well. They're always getting little tap ins, which shows that it's off the training ground.
Yeah, big time.
They're getting behind players and there's no one around them, and they're squaring the ball across for a tap in, which is definitely off the training ground. So, but I just didn't find that spark with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't, Ryan. You stay a United fan. You know what I mean? We don't want you drifting. Well, yeah, before we get into the list of transfers, and I'd say a lot of transfer rumours coming for all over Europe, linking players with United. We want to look at Lukaku. So he's 28. If you look at the stats, right, he's in his prime in terms of the goals that he scored for Milan. But Milan might be looking to get rid of him, which I don't think he's not coming to United, but they still owe us a few quid on him, which will be happily taken. So what do you think about Lukaku as a player? Like, he played for United, did good stuff. I suppose his last season, 2018-19, wasn't the best. Got some goals, but not at his top peak. But like last year, I think he's coming out with, or this year just finished coming out with 30 goals, which probably the most he scored in a season for a club.
Yeah.
So what do you think that is the future for him? Just briefly, I suppose.
Yeah, I think he's looking to leave, isn't he? He's looking to get out. They have financial issues, and Conte leaving was one of the biggest, probably the biggest reason Lukaku went to Inter Milan, because Conte was always a fan of Lukaku. Tried to get him at Chelsea back from us, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he won't be there next season. Conte, Chelsea need a striker, I'm hearing. So there's links to that, and they're probably being for him. They want to improve. And they act like a big team. Chelsea do, don't they? They might not be the biggest team.
Well, they are at the moment, right?
They won the Champions League. Fair enough.
A lot.
Fair enough. You can give them best club going into the next season. But they always, what I admire about Chelsea is that they act like a big club. They always spend. They're always in for the biggest players. So I could easily see him go back to Chelsea. I could easily see that happening.
Starting at Chelsea, you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. They need a striker. And Lukaku guarantee goals. That's what he does. If you provide him with assists, he'll put the ball in the back of the net, and that's what they're good at. They have so many players playing between the line. Mason Mount, I think he's class. He's class, and then you have Conte. I just always said him, man, when he wasn't playing for Chelsea, I was thinking, like, if we could get Conte out of Chelsea.
Yeah.
Well, now, there's no chance now, because Chelsea are winning. And they'll be up there next season. No doubt, pushing for the league. Your man's some manager, so they're players that are going to be competing. Teams that are going to be competing for the same players we're going for. Every player that we be trying to attract to the club, for sure Chelsea will be in there with a bid. And they don't mess around. They don't haggle over 5 or 10 million. The price is set and they pay it if they really want to play it. And that's what I mean about acting like a big team, which we haven't been doing. With the transfer market coming up, I think that's what we need to show the fan base as the club, and with everything that's been happening with the ESL and Ollie not getting backed properly and not getting the players
that he wants
last season, like we were saying. I think this is the way to do it. Act like a big team and give Ollie the players that he wants, and let's see what happens, because it's a big season for Ollie, no doubt. Like we were saying.
I mean, the Glazers are under a lot of pressure, man, from the fans, from the Premier League, I'd say as well. Just United in general for what went on there, that carry on. But anyway, Ray, we're talking about transfers. We might as well get into this list. So I'll go through a few rumours. I'm not too sure about these. The sources,
many rumours.
It might be a bit iffy. But teams seem to like to link players to United, just to beef them up maybe a bit. But I'll go through the names. I know you have a bit more information on them. But Saul Niguez, for
Yeah,
Atletico Madrid. So he's a young enough player, 26, CDM, coming in at about 60 million.
yeah,
Can you talk a bit about
yeah.
him now, right?
So he's like a modern day CDM, a player that plays CDM, but you don't even notice it because
Mm,
he's so technically good, and he looks like he can play on the wing. He looks like he can play attacking midfielder. So he's a player that we've been sort of looking at for a while, and always again flated with bringing Saul Niguez to United. So I don't know how much credibility there is in this, or
I
if
know,
we're
yeah.
actually going to push or even put a bid in for Saul Niguez, but they're after just winning the league. They have a great manager that seems to get the players.
Mm,
He's Spanish, so it's a tough one, that, but
yeah.
no doubt a good player. I don't see it happening, to be honest, but because
Okay,
the
okay.
budget will get in the way. It's this. I'd say he's worth about 80 million. Easily. I'd say,
80. Jesus, that good.
yeah,
Okay, yeah.
60 or 80. Yourself. Players are
Yeah,
going
yeah.
mad money
Well,
these
we'll,
days.
we'll give him 45, right?
Give him 45,
Yeah.
400 grand a week. Yeah,
And
you
here,
never.
so then we move on. Pedro Goncalves for Sport. Now we've talked about him before. You like him?
Yeah, no, I think he's good, Rory, because I look at City and I
Mm,
look at what damage they do. And we were just talking about this. They do the damage between the lines, just like Chelsea a little bit. And we
yeah.
don't have enough of them players. We only have Bruno that really can pick up them
Mm,
positions. Of course, Van der Beek, but like we were saying, he doesn't really get on.
yeah.
And we've seen it work when Pogba gets in them situations.
Yeah.
We've seen it cause problems. So Pedro Gonzalez is a right winger just like that likes to cut inside.
Mm,
So he plays sort of right at top, and I think he's left footed if I'm not mistaken, and he cuts inside, and he's one of these sort of flowy players on the ball
mm.
that's very hard to pick up and stuff. So I think he's a good player, and he'd fit in the squad. But I don't know if we're actually still in for him if we're going after the number one target in that position. But I'm sure you probably have.
Yeah, yeah. He's on the list, right?
He's
Don't
on
you
the list.
worry. He's coming, yeah. But
Uh,
Goncalves, yeah, he's coming in at about 60 mil as well. Then we have Jules Conde. So
yeah,
he's Seville, and he's coming in about 54 million, right? 22 player, centre back. Pretty good, man, to be honest. He's a good
yeah,
player. Has 2 goals, 1 assist this year. But obviously, we're not buying him for his goals and assists. But
no.
do you
Yeah.
know a bit about him?
I just from just seeing bits and bobs, and
Mm.
with then just doing watching a little bit and watching Seville a little bit. He just seems to be like, and again, a modern centre back. Rory, he can get on the ball and build up play.
Yeah.
He's not very tall, which won't it's not a big issue. But he plays right hand
Mm.
side of the defense, which is a good you're looking at
Yeah.
where Lindelof plays or where Bally comes in, to partner
I'd say, I'd
Maguire.
say I'd say height could be a big issue, right? Because like if you look at our worst um, trait in the back is set pieces.
Yeah, true,
You
true.
know what I mean? So that could be an issue. But again, this is kind of the
Now,
rumor list.
now, just because he hasn't got height doesn't mean he can't win a header. He
And
can
jump,
win.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
I've
a bit of
he's.
a prejudice there, haven't
I know,
I?
but yeah, you never know, Roddy. He could be one of these. He can win every header.
Yeah,
Obviously, the Spanish football is always just sort of played on the deck, and you never really see the ball in
mm,
the air. So
yeah,
that could be a challenge. It could be bang on there. It could be a challenge for him to. But
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, they're a good centre back. Yeah,
Yeah, and the biggest on the rumor list, I suppose, is Ronaldo. We see a lot of links with Ronaldo at the end of the season when you aren't doing too well, or we're looking for a big change. And the rumor at the moment is that he'd be switched out for Pogba. So Pogba
mm,
a bit of money. Juve apparently want Pogba back. Um, Now we didn't actually get the price on Ronaldo, but he's pushing on, right? Like we only have him for
yeah,
what, 1 year, maybe two, at
yeah,
36. No, he did well. He's still doing well, still smashing in the goals, 29 goals. I think over 30 in all campaigns, all competitions, and a few assists in there as well. But what do you think is that a vicious rumor again, or do you actually see this coming through?
I don't know, Rory. I don't know how much Pogba would want to go to Juve, and how much Juve want Pogba. And vice versa. It's a tough one to swap in. We said it during the season that we'd be probably looking at swaps for our big players this summer for the likes of Pogba or something. So be
Mm.
interesting to see that. I for one, if Pogba does go, it'd be probably the only player that I'd like to come in on a swap would be Ronaldo. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
I'm saying that like it's mad how high he set the bar. What you would just said there,
Mm.
29 goals, and we're like he's falling off. Like,
Yeah,
I know he didn't play so well in the Champions League, and Juve didn't do much, but that's 29 goals, man. That's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
still a great season. I'd love to see Pogba and Ronaldo at the club together.
yeah. No,
But
geez, that's a
and I'm hoping the situation with Pogba is that he's just looking for a contract, for a solid contract.
yeah, yeah,
Now, he wanted to play for Real Madrid. That's no secret. Zinedine Zidane is not there anymore. Ancelotti coming into Real Madrid, he's gonna be looking at settling the ship there with players wanting to go there, or what he needs to go, or what he needs to bring. So I wonder if he's still looking at Pogba, or the club are still looking at Pogba as a possibility. You know, Pogba's done okay this season, on and off,
mm,
hot and cold. He did some bits in off the left hand side when he came in, but I still have this feeling, as a fan, as the way Pogba came up through the ranks, and I just like that whole situation. I'd like to see Pogba win something at United,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know, win
Definitely,
something
man.
major, like win the league, win something
For
before he.
such a quality player, yeah, it would
Yeah, I
be
just think, yeah,
disappointing to see him come
definitely,
twice and then you know what I mean, leave like that
yeah.
again. But right,
But his
I'll
heart has to be in it, doesn't it? He has to be. He has to want to be here as well. Yeah,
oh big time, yeah. And, we talked about that. Does he really want to be here? Where does he want to be? Where's his heart? Yeah, like you said, right.
yeah,
But so we're also looking at get Tom Heaton. I think that's pretty much secure as a third goalkeeper, maybe. And then Kane. Now that's a big one. Kane's obviously looking to leave Spurs. They're not winning trophies, and he wants trophies. 27. He's pushing on, and I think the battle there is with City. So there's a big strong link with City. People are saying City are United. I could actually see him probably at City before United, but that depends if City are still in for Haaland or what they're doing there. So I think we'll wait and see on that one, Ray. We know how good Kane is. We don't need to go into that one. But the big one for us, I suppose, is Sancho and Varane. So Sancho, Ray, some season at Dortmund, like you know what I mean, and his speed and his touch and just the way you can see the game unfold in front of him and just pick out that pass that's gonna
yeah.
sorry coursing there now. But
Let it
when I
out.
watch him when I watch him, you get excited. You know what I mean? For a
Yeah,
player that's 21 to have that confidence to beat like just take on players and just slot it into the back of the net like that. So he's coming out with 8 goals this season. I think nearly 15 in all competitions, and then 11 assists. The
yeah,
price tag on him has been quite elevated. I think it's around 80 to 85 million. Now,
mm.
obviously, we went in from before, and the price tag was an issue. How do you think that was going to pan out, Ray?
Yeah. I think this is the deal that the big sign, the big the big sign in this season.
Mm,
I think this is the one that we've seen it with Bruno, where we went in for him before. We were looking at him and we didn't get it over the line,
mm,
and then we finally decided that we actually need Bruno badly, and we went and got him then in January. So I see this as a similar sort of thing where we realised that some of our biggest issues are coming off that right hand side, having to
mm,
possibly slow Greenwood's progress down, having to play, because we all know he can put the ball in the back of the net. Greenwood, and playing
mm,
off the right hand side all the time is keeps him away a little bit further away from the goal, even though he's still doing well. But I'd like to see Greenwood push up there with Cavani very
yeah,
soon, and play together, alternate that position, because Cavani's here for one more year, and what a player, like we were saying, to have around the team for Greenwood to progress and become that world class player that we can all see in Greenwood. But yeah,
But
I see Sancho. I see Sancho as the one that's going to come in this season. Yeah, I think that's what the way we're going to go. Sancho in, possibly for 80, even 90 million.
You reckon?
Yeah, you never know with Dortmund. I know they need the money and they have financial issues, but it's mad. They want.
And then do you think? So we mentioned Van der Beek earlier. Do you think Sancho can come in, a young player? Now he's obviously English, which might help.
Yeah.
But coming into a big club like Man United, I don't see it too far away from Van der Beek's situation. And Sancho has that high energy. You see his relationship with Haaland quite strong. And you're coming into a United team where I don't think we see that kind of relationship between players at United. Maybe Fernandes and Pogba a little bit.
Yeah.
But you might link it to Lingard and Rice. That kind of chemistry on and off the pitch.
Yeah.
So for a young player coming in like that, I'd be a little bit worried that we might see a similar situation in maybe lacking a bit of confidence when the gameplay isn't what he's used to, that kind of fast-flowing football that they're playing at Dortmund.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Ray?
Yeah, like you said, Roddy, he has great abilities, to get past the player and put a ball into the box, and I think we were lacking that a lot. We have a lot of players cutting in of both wings, or actually someone getting down and beating a couple of players, getting them to commit and getting into the box, and tap-ins. We want to see a lot of tap-ins this season. I think we struggled with. I think he's a player that can help us a lot there. I think he's good friends with Rashford. To go back onto to your question, I think he's good friends. The English lads are good, and he seems like a good character, and he's brave to make that move away from City when not playing, and go to Dortmund, go away. He was one of the first sort of players that made that move and actually, did very well. There's a couple of players that did it beforehand, but it didn't really, shine as bright as Sancho, and he did it in a way no one's done it, in a foreign language, in Germany, different football, and he's come great, and I think he's only going to get better, and he's marketable, everything. It's a full package with him, and he has it, and the club know it, and so the Dortmund, and that's why the price is so high for him, and that's why it fell through last season, because 120 million for we would have been 20 at that time. It was mad money, but that's a price you put on a player when you don't want to let him go. So
exactly.
now suddenly the status quo has changed. They need money. They're willing to put the price down, and there's rumours going around from the goats of the transfers, like the likes of Romano and stuff, and it looks like we're interested, and we're still there, and we're trying to come to some sort of agreement with Sancho. So whether it's going to be announced before the Euros, I doubt it. But it could be the one, Rory, that we conclude the transfer window with. It could be the one where we just we just cap it off, and we get.
I would hope. Sorry, Ray, but I'd hope it come in a bit sooner than that. The way the talks are going at the moment, it seems like it's quite forward. We're in the negotiation stages with them. We've been there before. Like you said, right, we need to just go out and start getting these players.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, and stop messing around. Now the other one is Varane, right? And you've talked a lot about Varane, saying he's quality and he's exactly the player we need in there. I've been watching him a good bit, and was watching more highlights of him there as well, just to get a decent look at his play all in one. And he's solid, man. You know what I mean? And what you see about him as well is he's very calm about the situation. You know what I mean? 1-on-1, he's the last player needs to be. whatever's happening. He has the speed as well to catch a striker.
Yeah. He's a player, Rory, that he's played against the top strikers in the world and look great. Okay, he's been a part of a France team that are unbelievable in every position. He's been part of a Real Madrid team that has won, Champions League over and over, and leagues with Zidane. And okay, he's been at great clubs, but he's proven, he's won everything in the game. I just hope, he will definitely fit into the United squad. We need him badly. He can play, he can tackle, he can read the game. We were after him before he went to Real Madrid, and Real Madrid got him when Fergie was around. He's been on our radar for a while. We've tried to get him before, but that's around the time Real Madrid were doing well. So he's just a player that I'd love to see at the club. I think he'll change us completely. I think we'll get to see what we want to see from the team of being attacking all the way through, and he has pace to recover, and he's just a good centre back. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see Varane. I'd love to see Sancho.
Yeah, I think Varane brings a bit of maturity with him as well. Like you said, he's won all those. He's won a lot of competitions, played at some of the biggest clubs. Like he brings that kind of solid dominance and responsibility that we're kind of someone to take on that responsibility that we think we're missing in the back with Lindelof, who kind of shies away from it. Maguire maybe not as vocal as we need him to be, but we've seen how impactful he is on a team since he's gone. All right, I left the last one for you because we know you want to talk about him, and that's Trippier, who's at Atletico at the moment. So coming in at a right back, a bit old, I suppose, pushing on at 30. Still a good few years, and when he's doing quite well. What do you reckon?
Yeah, this looks like a good move from the club, Rory. Like we were saying earlier, the Sean Telles thing, got Shaw firing. I hope to see that happen with the likes of Wan-Bissaka, because I think he's progressed, but he's let us down a couple of times, and he's had to play a lot of games. Like he's played every game nearly, really, except when we had to definitely make some changes in that later stage of it, and you could see it in him. Sometimes he played knackered, I thought, and it'd be great to have that dynamic there in that position where you can bring in a player that's just won the league with Atletico Madrid. I think he's a boyhood Man United fan. I heard him talking about Beckham, the way he tries to, replicate his free kicks and stuff. So he's definitely a fan. He's definitely had his eye on United, and I think we can lure him into the club if we put a good bid in. Maybe to push Wan-Bissaka for that position. I think he'll do Wan-Bissaka a world of good, having someone like that, like Shaw and Telles, to look over your shoulder and know that he's creeping up. It's just a good player to have in your team, and to switch that style up of play. Maybe show Wan-Bissaka a couple of things to get him forward, and whipping the ball in the box. That's what he's good at. So that's one I'd love to see in, man. That backup right back in Trippier. I'd like to see Varane or, Conde, one of them coming in, because I think that right-hand side, the defence, that's the one the club will be probably looking at. So it'll come down to one of them, or probably, maybe they have some good scouting going on. They're looking at a player we don't even know anything about, and comes in and does a great job. But what Ollie was saying was, I think he said it after the Europa League. He was saying that this team needs 3 players ready to go, and I think he nailed it. And they could be our 3 players. They could.
Yeah.
What he was talking about, he's probably definitely talking about a centre back, maybe a defensive midfielder.
I would hope so.
Yeah, that's one. I don't know. I'm sort of tended to think that maybe we could do one more season with Fred, and because I don't see I just don't see the club bringing in 3 players like that, Roddy. And if I had to pick, with the, what they're like, they don't spend over 80 million or 100, close to 100 million, ever really.
Yeah.
Since the time we brought in, I think it was like Schweinsteiger and a couple of more in at that time. Jose as well brought in a couple of players at once, but we haven't seen it in a while, especially not under Ollie, where they broke the transfer market and got exactly what we needed. And this is the time. This is the time to actually maybe getting them 3 players, but I don't see that happen. I see 2 players come in. I see the centre back and I see Sancho. And maybe Trippier. So that's a backup player and 2 starting players is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Would you
Right,
be
I
happy
hear
with
you.
that?
I wouldn't be happy with that now, to be honest. I think our centre backs. I think by our two and Zabi can come in there and fill that position and do it quite well, better than Lindelof is doing at the moment. Anyway, even though Lindelof has his good moments, he's a good player. But we need a CDM that. Ray, I don't think McTominay and Fred are going to bring us any titles. And I said that in the last pod. I mean, I'm worried that Ollie doesn't see that or he's ignoring that because he mentioned Fred and he mentioned McTominay in that post-match interview after the final when he could have mentioned so many other players. I see it as an issue because there's just something lacking there between getting the ball from outside our box up the field and providing that service to the likes of Rashford, Cavani, and Greenwood. So yeah, if that's what we're going with, I'd be worried that we're not going to see the top 3 next year. I mean, Liverpool are going to come back on form. There's no way Klopp's going to be happy with what happened this year. Chelsea, Man City, like I'd say, we'd be in trouble with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's our list, right, of transfers. So going out, we're looking at there is the keeper situation. So De Gea and Hendo, are they both going to stay? I wouldn't say so. Personally, I'd like to see De Gea stay. I don't think Hendo's had enough time to prove himself. I don't think even with the time he was given, I mean, that he proved he was much better than De Gea, like without a shadow of a doubt. But Ray, I know you like Hendo.
Yeah, I thought I did.
Second thoughts now.
I thought I did. I thought he brought. No, don't get me wrong. I think he's a good keeper. I think he's one
Yeah,
for the future now. But I was always comfortable with the position, knowing that David De Gea will get another chance.
yeah.
When he's got another chance, and he's done well when he came in to finish off the season. I thought. I look at it as healthy competition, and I know some of us might think differently that you can't have 2 number ones, but I think some players what I've seen, what I was seeing with sort of De Gea before he came out of the squad, I just thought he's lost his enthusiasm a little bit. He needed a wake up call, and I'm hoping this is the wake up call. But we just signed another keeper. I think when it's nearly done, if it's probably done already. Tom Heaton, we mentioned him.
Yeah.
It looks like a mad situation. Looks like you either get Romero gone or Lee Grant is gonna go as well, and you're left with
Yeah.
De Gea, you're left with Henderson, and you're left with Tom Heaton. It's
Yeah,
a
well,
I don't
I know
know.
what you're
I wouldn't be
saying.
completely surprised if De Gea left either.
Yeah,
Maybe he's done. Maybe he's done at the club. Maybe he needs a new challenge. We've
yeah,
often players say maybe that's what he needs. He
yeah.
needs to
Maybe it
bounce.
is. Maybe that's the case, Ray. I don't see them both staying, and I don't think that'd be too healthy for us to continue what we started doing this season, where we don't know who's starting which
Yeah,
games, and I don't think that's good for the keeper because if you think about a goalkeeper, you have a great game, you know what I mean, and you bring that confidence to the next game. But if you're not starting the next game, that
yeah,
confidence mightn't continue. Now that's obviously I'm
definitely.
not a goalkeeper, so I don't know how they carry their confidence, but that's kind of what I've seen here. There's a bit of inconsistency, so I would imagine there's an inconsistency with the way the players are approaching the game mentally, maybe after being
Yeah,
left out for 1 or 2 games. So we did mention Pogba leaving. If Ronaldo does come in, there could be a swap deal there. And then also Mata, he had a great time at United. He's pushing on. This seems to be it for him at United.
yeah,
Sad to see him go. He brings great energy to the team. I think he should have got much more game time this year myself, especially in the final. I think he should have been on in the 60th minute. bring in, a bit of class and a bit of experience onto that pitch. Mhm.
Yeah.
Sad seeing go, yeah, right?
Yeah, look, he's done well for us, Roddy. He's done well, and it's one matter at the end of the day. Everyone loves him at the club.
Mm.
It just looks like he's at that time now where maybe the physical side of things, aren't being too good to him, and he can't keep up with the game, and he can't get much out of the engine anymore. So maybe the right time is to get Mata out, because if you're not really going to play him all season, then what's the point in having him, around, or having him on the wage bill or maybe you see something that he's good on the coaching side of things, or maybe you keep him on as a coach if he doesn't want to go anywhere else and play something like that, because he's loved on and off the pitch one matter for the club, and he always talks perfectly, the way you want him to, what you'd want anyone to represent your club, I think, so he's obviously not going to play much.
Yeah,
Does he want to play somewhere else for a couple of seasons, and get enough game time to keep the soul happy, so he
yeah,
can
yeah.
retire happily,
And
or and
where would you see him
back,
going if he was going, right?
possibly Spain, I'd say,
Yeah.
possibly back to Spain.
Mm.
He's played for Valencia. I don't know. They're the young side now at the moment. He's played for Real Madrid. He probably wouldn't. But there'll be clubs out there that want Mata for sure,
Yeah.
for the experience he brings. And you can be that player for a team that Bruno was for us, not that
Mhm.
level of intensity, but you can be that player for another club that, just makes everything happen for that season, and shows players and teams something that they haven't been aware of, bit of class. So he has
Yeah.
that. Just it's tough, I'd
Definitely.
say, the expectations at the club and all, Rory, and having to keep up with the physical side of things, and coming into big games like with the tension and all. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say that's tough, man.
Yeah, big time, man. So yeah, right. So that's kind of it for the transfers. Who's coming in, who's going out, and we'll
Yeah.
finish up then just chatting about the Euros. So we're going to cover the European Euros, which is starting soon enough.
It's that your whatever ESL, isn't it? Is that the messing everyone up?
Which one's which, man?
I don't
Jesus. Anyway, this is international game. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow the United players throughout the Euro, see how they're getting on at their individual teams. So we'll just go through the player listing at the moment. What are the names that we're going to be mentioning, and we'll do like I suppose it's going to be a weekly podcast on the Thursday, Friday, and we'll be putting that out. So for England, we're looking at Henderson got a place there in the England squad, right? Luke
Yeah.
Shaw's in there, Rashford, Harry Maguire, and then Greenwood, I think, was to be mentioned, but unfortunately he's bowed out with an injury. And then Lingard didn't get in. I
Yeah.
don't know if you knew that, but he didn't get in there. Now, I did hear that Rio Ferdinand came out and said he doesn't know why Harry Maguire's on the list, because Harry Maguire's carrying that ankle injury. He probably won't get much game time,
Yeah.
So I think Rio Ferdinand was kind of saying you're wasting a place there. A player
Yeah.
could come in, someone who's
Mad, Roddy.
probably just as eager.
The English team, they picked so many defenders. They picked so many defenders. They picked, I think it was 4 right backs or 3. But now in that warm up game, I think Arnold Alexander Trent or whatever
Mm.
his name is, he picked up an injury, and he could be a doubt now. So
Yeah,
that'll make
that's a
him,
big
yeah.
loss.
So it's mad. He was playing Trippier left back, and he plays right back. I've never seen Trippier play left back.
And you
And
have Luke Shaw in there, like.
yeah, it's just mad. I don't know what he's trying to show people or do, but he's another one of these sort of. I thought that was another Pep move, or maybe
Yeah, yeah,
maybe just testing the water. But it does indicate that like they will play maybe 5 at the back.
yeah.
With bringing in so many defenders.
And if I'm
So
not
yeah,
mistaken, England
Maguire's
are
a doubt,
favourites. Sorry,
are
Ray.
they? They're a doubt. Maguire's
Who's
a
it now?
doubt. Is he?
No, Maguire's on the list. Just Rio was saying that he probably shouldn't be because of his injury, and he probably won't play.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah,
Like, and you mentioned Rashford there as well. Like, he
yeah.
did a rest big time. Like, you seen what he was like towards the end of the season
He
in
even
that
said
last
it.
game as well. Like, he's done.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know if he was had enough time to even get a rest now, or I think that he needs like a good few weeks
yeah.
where he's just resting, man, and just
Taking it
off.
easy.
Yeah, and just recover. But obviously,
Yeah,
he's not getting that. He's in the squad. Nobody
yeah,
wants to miss a big tournament like that as well. You can
yeah.
sympathize with the
Definitely.
player there. You're not going to turn around and say, "Listen, I want to stay home."
Yeah,
Like they're decisions for managers, aren't they? And they're big
yeah,
decisions. So
yeah. And I suppose okay, he wants the best players on the pitch.
yeah,
So then we're looking at Pogba for France. So Pogba's been called up. Unfortunately, Martial hasn't been called up, and I think that's due to his current injury. And we're looking at Portugal. So Bruno Fernandes, obviously in there. And Netherlands. So I think it was mentioned that Van de Beek won't be getting started with Netherlands, but he's in the squad there. And
good man. Be
yeah, it
keeping an
is
eye on
good.
that. Honestly, be keeping an eye on that, and I just hope he dominates. I hope he gets in, and
But Ray,
hope.
he's been doing quite well at the Netherlands. The last six
Yeah,
games, he has 3 goals. Like, and that says a lot. Like,
it's mad, man. It's a
yeah,
mental thing. Obviously, it's a mental issue. It's a mental barrier he's going through at United, and I want to see him kick it down.
yeah,
And
big time. Big time. And then we're looking at Scotland. McTominay's in that squad. Spain, De Gea, Sweden, Lindelof, and then Wales, James, and Libet.
yeah,
So that's it right there. The players we will be following. Obviously, we will follow the Euros as a whole and kind of pick out the best bits, and we'll be covering all the games really ourselves. We'll be
yeah.
watching them. You know what I mean?
Be nice. It'd be nice to just be looking at games sort of with no stress and having to
Yeah,
stay in the top four and all. Neutral.
yeah,
You're looking at France, obviously England, because of the big fans of the Premier League and the
yeah.
players, United players there, and
And if
it's
you
great.
if you were to put
And
money behind it, right, who would you go for there?
I'd go with France. Just
Yeah,
yeah, I think what you were talking about there, where there's a togetherness. We don't see that
mm,
with Sancho. Remember that point you brought up? I think
yeah.
France just have that in abundance.
And you see it with Pogba when he's playing for France.
You
You
can
see
see
that
it with
chemistry.
all of them. And
Yeah,
they just gel, man, and they're a proper team. And in contrast to that, you can see England exactly what you were just saying,
yeah,
which just sort of mirrors the United sort of mentality where
yeah.
it's almost just like business and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot of it with England now. It could be changing, but what I've seen past is that it's put all your best players on the field, and something will happen. And that's kind of
Mhm.
what it is with United. Have all the best
Yeah,
players on the field. There's
you
Plan A, and then there's no Plan B.
see what happens, yeah, and then you're looking, yeah, as a player, you'd be probably looking at the bench and nothing's happening.
Yeah,
And
but you're right with France. They're really enjoying their
yeah,
football,
they
and
really enjoy it, man. They
yeah,
just together, and they've good banter about them. And every clip you see of France in the dressing room is
yeah.
is is quality. So they'll be keeping an eye on them. I'll put my money on them definitely. But you never
All
know. There's
right,
probably a
yeah.
dark horse there.
I'd say I put money on Portugal now to go pretty far anyway because Ronaldo's this. I
Good
think this
shout.
is his last
And they have
international.
a great team, man. Yeah,
Yeah, they do. And it's his
yeah.
last international, so I'd say he'll be pushing for that.
That's a
And then
good shout.
you know
That could be the final.
that'd be a nice final, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
final, man. Yeah,
I think it's very interesting. And the next pod we're going to go through the groups and
definitely.
we'll go into a bit more detail on that. And obviously we'll keep an eye on the transfers for United. I'm sure there'll be more rumours coming out, and we might see some things sign off a bit earlier than we'd like with Trippier or Sancho. But
Yeah,
Ray, I think we'll leave it at that. That we've covered a good part there about what's happening, and yeah, I suppose we'll see you next week.
cool, Rory. Sound.
Happy days, man. So you
You
can find us on Facebook at the Devil's Bit, also on Twitter and Instagram, all at the Devil's Bit. And if you want to listen to this podcast, you can listen to it on YouTube and you can listen to it on Podbean and Spotify and soon to be coming to Google Podcasts. And I know that's the second week I've said that, but it's a true fact, right? It's going to happen.
It's happening.
All right, lads. So thanks
Cool.
for tuning in, and we'll talk to you again.